Domestic returns on capital are currently locked in a structural decline. Simultaneously, risk-free interest rates are dropping towards zero. Systemic uncertainty often triggers a defensive instinct. We see families instinctively pulling wealth back into standard, liquid bank accounts to wait out the volatility. This chart captures that flight to safety. As interest rates drop, household deposits swell. Goldman Sachs calls this deposit migration, the massive movement of capital into savings. However, this defensive posture carries a hidden cost. Inflation quietly erodes purchasing power every single day. Investment banks categorize this specific loss of value as liquidity drag. In a low-interest environment, holding large cash reserves results in a mathematically certain loss of purchasing power over time. High-net-worth business owners recognize that uninvested cash acts as dead weight on a balance sheet, yet the alternative is equally as risky. Locking all capital into long-term assets to outpace inflation leaves the enterprise vulnerable to sudden liquidity shocks or operational crises. This is the cash flow curse. Maintaining liquidity bleeds value, but chasing growth risks starving the business of oxygen. Navigating this requires a new financial mechanism, one designed to separate the requirement for long-term growth from the daily need for liquid cash. Strategic offshore systems, like those in Hong Kong, utilize a tool often favored by institutional capital, premium financing. The process begins by allocating capital into a multi-currency dividend insurance policy, securing a position in a global pool of high-quality assets. That policy is pledged as collateral to a private bank, which then releases up to 90% of the capital back to the client. This structure allows the original principal to navigate global market cycles and grow offshore. Simultaneously, the owner retains almost entirely intact cash flow to fund and scale their enterprise. By using the bank's leverage, you remove the need to choose between beating inflation and maintaining operational liquidity. Recent UBS analysis notes a significant tightening of cross-border investment regulations. The Implementation Plan for Illegal Securities and Decree 837 have introduced much higher levels of institutional scrutiny. Informal or gray market financial channels are closing. Hong Kong's transparent common law framework is now the primary legal anchor for offshore wealth management. Because compliance is now digital and transparent and loan rates fluctuate, these structures require constant actuarial oversight to prevent interest rate spreads from eroding the intended benefit. This approach utilizes a barbell strategy, concentrating resources on two extremes while removing inefficient middle ground assets. On the defensive side, the premium financing policy locks in global dividends and contractual safety. The offensive side consists of the 90% liquid cash released by the bank, which provides the enterprise with its kinetic cash flow. We invite high-net-worth families to engage our team for a bespoke review of your current asset structure. Modern wealth preservation relies on engineering a structural firewall that captures global growth while maintaining immediate liquidity. To my peers in the industry, Decree 837 and the new cross-border frameworks mean that traditional sales tactics no longer survive institutional scrutiny. Information asymmetry is losing its power to transparency. Navigating this shift requires a combination of macroeconomics, actuarial science, and complex legal frameworks. We are recruiting ambitious professionals to join a team operating at the frontier of offshore finance. When structural decline meets ruthless compliance, the only reliable protection is the depth of the actuarial model.